Viewers, brace yourselves because the sister wives scandal has just reached its most explosive climax yet. For years, fans have watched Kody Brown defend Robyn, spoil her children, and pour his life savings into her dream mansion, all while ignoring and dismissing his other wives. But today, the tables have turned. In a crowded courtroom filled with witnesses, ex-wives, and attorneys, a judge handed down a decision so devastating that it left Kody without words and Robyn crying. The decision? Kody and Robyn Brown are being ordered to forfeit $3 million and sell the Flagstaff mansion they fought so desperately to retain. Yes, the same mansion Kody once referred to as his kingdom is now slipping away from him. This isn't a court case. This is the last scene in a years-long drama of favoritism, betrayal, and financial deception. And as the judgment came down, you could feel the force of justice at last bearing down on Kody and Robyn, the two individuals who believed they were above the law. It didn't begin in a courtroom. It started years earlier, when Kody introduced Robyn into the plural marriage. Initially, the family attempted to make her feel welcome. Christine prepared meals for her. Janelle helped out with the kids. Even Meri, whose relationship with Kody was strained, tried being kind. But over time, habits began to form. Kody spent more and more nights at Robyn's home than at any other location. Funds that were meant to be divided among all the wives seemed to disappear into Robyn's bank account. At the same time, the other wives suffer. Janelle worked long hours and still had rent worries. Christine, mothering her children, frequently found herself forced to decide between bill payments and food shopping. Meri, who was once legally wedded, was made to feel cast aside as Kody showered Robyn with praise, gifts, and constant promises of stability. The straw that broke the camel's back was when wives found that Kody had invested family money into purchasing Robyn an enormous Flagstaff home. While Christine and Janelle were pleading to construct budget-friendly homes on Coyote Pass, Kody instructed them to wait. Yet in some way, Robyn's dream home had been bought overnight. That betrayal sowed the seed for what would eventually become this courtroom battle. The courtroom was filled to the brim with tension. Christine had her arms crossed, a combination of anger and relief crossing her face. Janelle gripped a binder full of papers, her jaw clenched. Even Meri, usually relegated to the sidelines, sat straight, prepared to speak truth at last. The case revolved around one question. Did Kody and Robyn squander shared family money to spoil themselves at the expense of putting other wives in financial hardship? Christine's testimony was combative. "We started this family together," she said to the judge. "Every check, every dollar was meant for all of us. But what did we do? We let Kody and Robyn live in luxury while the rest of us were behind." Janelle showed receipts, emails, and bank transfers. One by one, the documents recounted a tale of money transferred quietly out of family accounts into Robyn's. The judge raised an eyebrow more than once. Then it was Meri's turn. Hesitant as a rule, she surprised everyone by presenting more evidence still. Bank statements detailing how Robyn's spending had taken priority over other people's. "For years I remained silent," she spoke softly. "But silence permitted this to occur. I will no longer remain quiet." When it was finally Kody's turn to talk, he lost his temper. He leaped out of his seat, red-faced, slapping the table. "This is my family. I carried everybody. They're jealous because Robyn brings me peace." The judge was unimpressed. "This court isn't here to hear yelling, Mr. Brown. We are here to consider facts." Robyn, meanwhile, attempted to gain sympathy, and tears streamed down her face as she wept. "They never wanted me. They hated me right from the start. I only wanted my children to be safe." But the documents on the judge's desk told a rather different story. The whole room breathed in unison as the judge leaned forward. Her voice was firm, clear, and decisive. "Kody Brown and Robyn Brown are hereby enjoined to pay restitution of $3 million. In addition, the Flagstaff mansion should be sold forthwith to pay for the damages." The response was dramatic. Christine gasped and placed her hand over her mouth in shock. Janelle breathed softly. Finally, justice under her breath. Meri closed her eyes as tears silently ran down her cheeks. Kody stood frozen, his face flushed with fury. But this time he couldn't speak. Robyn collapsed into tears, weeping uncontrollably as the truth hit her. Her dream world, her mansion, her jealously guarded bubble was gone. The ex-wives didn't party loudly, but their relief was palpable. For years they had been dismissed, ignored, and gaslit. Now, in one instant, the truth was on their side. The news broke in an instant. Social media went into overdrive. Finally, Kody is getting the comeuppance he deserves. That mansion was never his to hold on to. Karma always prevails. Christine, Janelle, and Meri got this moment of justice. But within the family, the harm was irreparable. Christine left court with her head held high, speaking to reporters. This was never about money. This was about respect, about fairness. And now, it feels like a weight has finally been lifted. Janelle was more pragmatic. She acknowledged that the financial compensation wouldn't erase decades of suffering, but it was a beginning. At least now, she said, we can heal knowing the truth is finally out there. Meri, to everyone's surprise, was the most tearful. She had spent years in the background, holding on to hope that Kody still cared for her. But walking out of the courtroom, she said to cameras, "This isn't about me holding on anymore. This is about me letting go, and I am free." Kody and Robyn, on the other hand, departed in silence. Journalists yelled questions, but Kody stormed by with fists clenched, his pride broken. Robyn wept into her hands, covering her face. Their mansion, once a sign of safety, had become an albatross. Their finances, once secret, were now out. And their reputations, once guarded by Kody's impassioned speeches, were in tatters. The ruling was more than a monetary penalty. It was symbolic. It signified the downfall of Kody's reign, the demise of Robyn's favored rule, and the ascension of the women that had been gagged for far too long. And as the dust settles, one thing is certain, the sister wives saga will never be the same again. Viewers, buckle up, because what I'm about to share is going to alter how you perceive Kody and Robyn Brown forever. This isn't another fight, another argument, or another round of crying on sister wives. This is the endgame. The courtroom fell silent, the air so thick you could practically feel it bearing down on your chest. All lens, all reporters' pens, all eyes in that room were fixed on one couple, Kody and Robyn Brown. The same couple who for years seemed invincible. The same couple who believed love, favoritism, and a giant mansion would protect them from repercussions. But today, that protection shattered. The judge, stern and unyielding, spoke words that will forever be etched into the annals of the Sister Wives Chronicle. Kody Brown and Robyn Brown are ordered to pay restitution in the amount of $3 million and sell their Flagstaff estate forthwith. The courtroom was shocked as much by an electrical jolt. Gasps were heard. A notebook fell to the floor from the rear of the courtroom. Christine crept forward, wide-eyed, as though she couldn't quite believe what she was hearing. Janelle shut her eyes and let out a tiny, almost imperceptible sigh of relief. And Meri, long-standing victim of the confines Kody had imposed, gazed merely at Kody with a mixture of heartbreak and vindication. But Kody, he stopped short. For a man who was always prepared with something to say, always ready with a speech, he stood in silence, his jaw tight, his fists clenched, his face red with fury, and there wasn't a word to be heard. And Robyn, the woman who cried in the past that she was misunderstood, who perpetually posed as the victim, slumped into her chair, and wept with abandon, as the reality hit her. The empire she had built so painstakingly with Kody, dollar by dollar and brick by brick, was crumbling right in front of her eyes. To appreciate why this had been so explosive, you have to go back. For years, viewers observed cracks in the Brown family. It began as murmurs. Christine feeling ignored, Janelle doubting the funds, Meri confessing to feeling unwanted. But the murmurs got louder and louder, until at last they erupted into roars of frustration. In the middle of it all, Robyn. When she came into the family, she was painted as the new beginning, the new love, the one who would bring peace. And instead of balance, she was the focal point of Kody's world. Over time, but very distinctly, everything leaned in her direction. His time, his attention, his resources. And then the mansion. While Christine fantasized about constructing a small house at Coyote Pass, while Janelle balanced the books just trying to get by, while Meri pleaded for some recognition, Kody abandoned everything to purchase Robyn a huge, decadent Flagstaff mansion. It was not a home, it was a statement, a message that Robyn always came first. The fans were incensed, the other wives were devastated. But Kody did not care. He justified the purchase as necessary, a stable home for Robyn's children. What he failed to mention, at least verbally, was that the funds were from communal family money. Money everyone worked for. Money that everyone should have shared. That decision sowed the seed for the courtroom drama that blew years later. On the day of the verdict, the courtroom was filled with people. The front rows were dominated by reporters. Notebooks poised. Cameras popping flash every time the judge shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Family members chatted excitedly among themselves. Tension thick in the air. Christine sat ramrod straight, arms crossed over her chest. She wasn't there for theatrics. She was there for justice. Years of being told she was imagining it. Years of seeing Kody shut down her worries. She wanted the truth out loud. Janelle, always pragmatic, had brought a binder filled with receipts, emails and account statements. To her, this was never about feelings. It was about hard facts. And then there was Meri. So long she had remained in the background, clinging to the thinnest possibility that perhaps Kody still had feelings for her. But here in this courtroom, her expression told another story. She was finished hoping. She was finished waiting. She wanted accountability. When the judge walked in, the room went silent. Kody and Robyn clutched hands tightly. But it wasn't for love. It was fear. For the first time, the couple who once touted their union now appeared delicate, anxious, vulnerable. Testimonies had been ruthless. Christine, spirited and unrepentant, spoke to the court. "We sacrificed for this family. We trusted him." But all that trust went into Robyn's dream life. It wasn't partnership. It was betrayal. Janelle unfolded the numbers, page after page, illustrating the judge precisely how money flowed from joint accounts to Robyn's. Her voice broke only once, when she said, "I believed in fairness. I believed in him." But what happened wasn't fairness. It was favoritism with a price tag. Even Meri, so criticized for remaining too quiet, shocked the courtroom with her testimony. "I kept quiet for years, but silence is what permitted this to take place. I won't keep quiet anymore." And then there was Kody. His voice boomed, his fists pounded the table. "This is my family. I carried everybody. They're jealous because I love Robyn more." The judge did not even blink. Coolly she replied, "This is not about your feelings, Mr. Brown. This is about financial truth." Robyn attempted to move the room with tears. "I never wanted this. I just wanted my kids to be safe. They've hated me from the start." But the papers, the evidence said more than tears ever could. When the judge finally rendered the verdict, you could hear the room gasp almost en masse. Kody Brown and Robyn Brown are ordered to pay $3 million in restitution. In addition, the Flagstaff mansion is to be sold to satisfy the judgment. It was a verdict that destroyed the couple in a moment. Kody's face reddened, his jaw clenched, his hands shaking at his sides. But there were no speeches this time. No explanations. His empire, his pride, his mansion, ruined. Robyn's weeping shook the courtroom, each one louder than the previous. She grasped Kody's arm, pleading with him to do or say something, anything. But he remained silent. Christine's jaw dropped in shock. Janelle spoke a single soft word under her breath. "Finally." And Meri, with quiet reserve, brushed away tears. Not of sorrow, but of relief. They had been silenced for years. They had been ignored for years. But now, the law was on their side. This was not about money. This was about power, about favoritism, about years of sacrifice that had been unreciprocated. For Christine, it was confirmation that she had made the right decision in walking away. For Janelle, it was confirmation that her gut feeling concerning the finances was correct. And for Meri, it was closure after holding on to a relationship for years that never appreciated her. For Kody and Robyn, it was destruction. The mansion that represented their love, their triumph, their second chance, was now the same that had ruined them. And for the viewers, it was vindication. Social media went crazy minutes after the decision. Tweets, posts, and videos flooded in. Finally, Kody faces the truth. Robyn's mansion was karma waiting to happen. Christine, Janelle, and Meri earned every pound of this victory. Kody and Robyn made their exit from the courtroom, their faces betraying them. Kody angrily pushed past cameras, jaw set, fists clenched, unwilling to answer one question. Robyn hid her face in her hands, mascara smudging beneath her eyes, her body shaking as she clung to him. The wives did not celebrate publicly, but their unspoken relief told us volumes. Christine strode out with her head held high. Janelle grasped her binder as a trophy, and Meri for once didn't bring up the rear. She walked ahead, her stride steady, her vision forward. The house, the wealth, the favoritism, it had all come to this. And in a single moment of power, Kody and Robyn's world of invincibility crumbled for good. The courtroom drama might have burst into flames in one day, but the reality is, this fall was years in the making. The fissures in the Brown family didn't occur overnight. They started out as microscopic hairline cracks, almost imperceptible to the outside world. But years went by, and those cracks grew and grew, inspired by jealousy, prejudice, and financial deception, until they split wide open into gaping wounds that could no longer be denied. At the heart of it all was Kody's commitment to Robyn. When Robyn joined the family initially, she had been welcomed as a new beginning. Christine prepared meals for her. Janelle took over babysitting duties. Even Meri, though having issues with Kody, opened her arms, attempting to make Robyn feel welcome. Viewers of Sister Wives' initial seasons recall those smiles, those assurances of harmony, those dramatic speeches regarding love and equality. Kody swore that he could treat all his wives equally, that no female would ever take precedence over the others. But as the months became years, things worked out differently. It began with small things. Kody sleeping over an extra night at Robyn's, laughing harder, smiling harder when he was with her. Robyn getting more attention at family functions, her kids at the center of his universe. The other wives noticed, but at first they brushed it off. It's new love, Christine told herself. He'll balance it out eventually. Janelle, always practical, reasoned, this happens in plural marriage. Emotions shift. He'll come back around. Even Meri, whose bond with Kody was already strained, held out hope. He still sees me. He still cares. But in place of balance, the favoritism increased. It wasn't just time and love that skewed toward Robyn. It was money. For years the Brown family existed as a cohesive unit. Each wife contributed, either through work, side hustles, or child-rearing. The money went into a communal pot, to be spent on everyone's requirements. At least that was the vow. Christine wrestled to get by on a tight budget and raise her children. Vacations were few and far between. Birthday celebrations plain. She mastered the art of stretching meals, making enough seem like abundance. Janelle worked herself to death, giving up her time with her children just to keep the family afloat. And Meri, although alone, still added to her small businesses, hoping that the money was for a greater purpose. But when receipts started to mount, the reality could no longer be ignored. Robyn's children wore the latest clothes, the most extravagant toys and tutors where necessary. Christmas at Robyn's residence resembled a catalog. Lights, decorations, pricey presents under the tree. And then the rumors spread. Robyn wanted a home. Not merely a home, but a mansion in Flagstaff. When Christine brought up building affordable homes on Coyote Pass, Kody dismissed her. It's not the right time, he said. When Janelle tried to present budgets, explaining how stretched thin the family was, Kody waved her off. We'll make it work. But when Robyn wanted her mansion, Kody made it happen almost overnight. The down payment was paid from family money. Money that Christine, Janelle, and Meri had all donated. Money that was meant to finance homes for all of them, not Robyn. And that was when it became too much. Christine was the first to label it what it was: betrayal. Sitting at her kitchen table, she vented to her children, her voice shaking with anger. We've sacrificed for years. I've stretched every dollar, every penny for this family. And now, he takes our money, our future, and hands it to her on a silver platter. Her children, who were already privy to the favoritism, nodded wordlessly. They had noticed the way their father sparkled around Robyn's children, versus the way he was distracted and dismissive with them. For Christine, the mansion was evidence that she wasn't only undervalued, She was invisible. Janelle had forever been the pragmatic one. Figures never lied, and she believed in reason over feeling. But when she ran the figures on the purchase of the mansion, her stomach hit the floor. The price of Robyn's house wasn't only a weight, it was an economic trap that was going to sink everyone else. The family couldn't even afford to develop on Coyote Pass because all their resources had been sucked into Robyn's utopian lifestyle. One evening, with Christine, Janelle confessed, "We've been fools. We thought this was a partnership. But it's not. It's Kody and Robyn at the top, and the rest of us scrambling for scraps." That was the night Janelle decided she would no longer stay silent. Meri quote, "Us story was different. For years, she clung to the hope that Kody would see her again, that their bond, though fragile, could be repaired. But as she watched him pour every ounce of energy into Robyn, she realized the truth. The marriage in name only, when Kody technically divorced Meri in order to marry Robyn, had been the early warning sign. She refused to see it, consoled herself it was all being done for the kids. But now, watching the mansion go up as she lived alone in a rental, Meri finally saw what she had fought so hard not to believe. She wasn't merely overlooked, she was erased. "I kept my mouth closed," she told a friend. But silence is what let this occur. Christine, Janelle, and Meri had lived apart for years, each bearing her own hurt. But the mansion scandal brought them together in a way nothing else did. Christine brought the fire. Janelle brought the evidence. Meri brought the missing piece, her decision to emerge from the shadows. They were an alliance created, not in jealousy, but in truth. They weren't mad at Kody, they were committed to holding him accountable. Fans noticed it too. Every show, every montage, every leaked tidbit fueled the outrage. Fans mobbed social media with posts "Kody doesn't have 4 wives. He has 1 wife and 3 mistresses whom he ignores. Robyn's mansion is evidence of the favoritism the other wives sacrificed for years. And this is what they got. Nothing." The house turned into something more. It turned into a symbol of greed, of favoritism, of betrayal. The cost couldn't be avoided long enough. Bills stacked up. Promises went broken. Christine eventually walked away, selecting peace over pain. Janelle went next, not wanting to continue pouring cash into a losing proposition. And Meri, after all those years of waiting, came to realize that her position in the family had been taken away. But departure wasn't sufficient. The monetary betrayal cut too close. The women grouped together their proof, told their tales, and concluded, enough was enough. The courtroom confrontation was no coincidence. It was a direct result of years of suffering, sacrifice, and silence, and ultimately, the bravery to say no more. By the time Kody and Robyn appeared in court, it was too late. The wives weren't bitter exes. They were victims of years of financial fraud. The mansion, which had been a dream, was now the smoking gun that would bring down the facade of Kody's ideal family. What began in love, promises, and togetherness had dissolved into resentment, betrayal, and ultimately, judgment. And in that courtroom, when the truth poured out, everyone was able to finally see it clearly. The empire that Kody and Robyn created wasn't created in love. It was created on the backs of the women they abandoned. The trial day wasn't just another hearing in court, it was the culmination of pain, betrayal, and nepotism spanning years. As soon as Christine, Janelle, and Meri entered the heavy doors of the courthouse, the tension became palpable. Fans, the press, and even relatives packed the gallery. Each whisper, each sidelong glance, seemed to reverberate more loudly than the gavel of the judge. Everyone understood that this was more than about money. It was justice night. The tension was palpable. Cameras snapped wildly as Kody and Robyn walked in, hands clasped in a white-knuckled grip. Their faces, typically so assured, were strained, eyes flicking everywhere, mouths clenched, bodies rigid with anxiety. Christine, on the other hand, emanated power. She sat tall, chin raised, her burning determination not to be missed. She did not come for vengeance. She came for truth. Beside her, Janelle held a thick binder, brimming with months' worth of financial papers, receipts, and scribbled notes. Steady on the surface, but her handshake gave away the nervousness beneath. She was confident her facts were airtight. And then there was Meri. For years, she'd kept silent, lingering in the background. But today, she was changed. She wore careful dress, sat up straight, her eyes fixed intently upon Kody. She wasn't the neglected wife any longer. She was about to make herself heard. When the judge arrived, the courtroom was silent. The air was charged with tension. Christine testified first, and she wasn't shy. Her words echoed throughout the courtroom, firm but tinged with years of sorrow. For years, I sacrificed everything for this family. I cooked, I cleaned, I helped raise kids. I set my dreams on the back burner because I thought we were all creating something together. But while I struggled to make ends meet, Kody was pouring money into Robyn's home, a mansion, while I couldn't even get assistance with my kids' school fees. Gasps coursed through the hall. Christine's words weren't emotional. They were raw, incisive, impossible to disregard. She went on, her voice increasing in intensity. We trusted him. We trusted him with our lives, our children, our finances. And instead of guarding us, he guarded Robyn's lifestyle. That is not love. That is not leadership. That's betrayal. Christine stepped down, her head held high. She didn't cry. She didn't break. She burned. Then it was Janelle's turn. She didn't storm the stand like Christine. She walked calmly, methodically, her binder in hand. I'm not here to talk about emotions, she began, adjusting her glasses. I'm here to talk about numbers. She opened her binder and spread the evidence. Bank transfers, property deeds, bank statements. Each page reiterated the same tale. Funds moving from joint family accounts to Robyn's. Here Janelle explained, her finger tracing a yellow-marked page. This was money earmarked to fund homes on Coyote Pass. But instead of being shared with all of us, it was diverted into a down payment on Robyn's mansion. Without our permission, without our knowledge. The judge leaned forward, scanning the records. Robyn shifted nervously, her eyes diverting. Kody's jaw tightened with each sentence. Janelle's voice broke only once. I believed in him. I believed in fairness. But what happened wasn't fairness. It was favoritism. And it destroyed us. She snapped her binder shut, her hands firm. In contrast to Christine's passionate fervor, Janelle's icy, irrefutable facts sliced even deeper. And then came Meri. For years they had dismissed her, the forgotten wife, the one who held on to bits of love, while Kody openly loved Robyn. But as she stood and walked to the witness stand, the room shifted. Her voice was softer than Christine's, more subdued than Janelle's, but each word packed a punch. I remained quiet for a long time, she started. I said to myself, it's not my business, things will improve. But silence. Silence is what let this happen. She removed papers from her own pockets. Declarations, pieces of paper, records of meetings. Evidence that she had been attuned to the disparity, but too intimidated to speak until now. She shook, but she didn't quit. He said this was about unity. About family. But I sat and watched year after year, as everything ended up going to Robyn. I remained, hoping that he might see me again. But what I actually saw was the truth. She held her gaze for a moment with Kody's. He glanced away. Meri sat down, crying for the first time. Not tears of weakness, but tears of release. She had spoken her truth for the first time in years. When it was finally Kody's turn, the room prepared itself. He didn't disappoint. Red-faced, slapping the table with his fists, Kody burst, "This is my family. I built this. I carried everybody on my back for decades. And now they sit here, attacking me? They're just jealous because I picked Robyn, because I love Robyn." The courtroom was filled with the sound of murmuring. The ex-wives rolled their eyes, shaking their heads. The judge held up a hand, stopping him. "Mr. Brown, this court is not about feelings. This is about financial reality." But Kody couldn't be contained. He paced, flailing his arms. "They don't know what it's like to be the leader. They have no idea of the pressure I was under. Robyn gave me calm, and they were jealous of that." The judge's tone was like a blade. "Sit down, Mr. Brown." And finally, for once, Kody did. His tantrum had accomplished only to reveal his desperation. Next was Robyn. She wasn't like Kody. She didn't rage. She wept. Her tears filled the air as she held tissues in shaking hands. "I never asked for favoritism," she protested. I only wanted a stable home for my children. They hated me from the start because Kody loved me more. That's not a crime. She painted herself as the victim, the misinterpreted outsider, who had only ever desired peace. But the evidence piled up on the judge's desk contradicted her. Christine shook her head in shock. Janelle crossed her arms tightly. Meri refused to look at Robyn, not giving her the response she had hoped for. The crying might have moved some, but to those who experienced it, it was only another act. Throughout it all, the judge was firm, unbiased, but keen-eyed. She observed the intensity of Christine, the truth from Janelle, the gentle bravery of Meri. She observed the fury of Kody, the crying of Robyn, and more significantly, she observed the evidence. By the end of the testimony, the room was aware of the truth. Kody and Robyn's kingdom had been constructed not of love, but on the sacrifices made by the women they ignored. As the judge departed to consider the verdict, the courtroom fell silent, thick with tension. Christine sat stiffly, refusing to glance at Kody. Janelle drummed her pen nervously on her binder. Meri mouthed a silent prayer. Kody sat rigid, his jaw tight, his face flushed with rage. Robyn leaned against him, crying, pleading with him to vow it would all be right. But for the first time ever, Kody had no response. The whole room knew. The truth was on the verge of collapsing. The courtroom had become so still that you could practically hear the beating of hearts. All eyes in the room were glued to Robyn Brown as she fidgeted anxiously in her seat, the erstwhile self-assured favorite wife, now a quivering pair of hands and a tear-stained face. She had been regarded for so long as the woman who took Kody's heart, the one who enjoyed living in the mansion, while the other wives struggled to make ends meet. But now, she was trapped. The judge's decree had been direct. Kody and Robyn pay $3 million and sell the mansion. The words rang in her head, like a hammer against cold iron. Robyn wiped at her eyes with a tissue. But the tears would not cease. She attempted to calm her voice, but it cracked as she finally whispered, "Your Honor, if we lose the house, it feels like I lose everything." The crowd grumbled, some in sympathy, some in anger. Meri crossed her arms and shook her head. Janelle sat back, lips pinched tight, resisting the urge to smirk. Christine, sitting lower on the bench, muttered to herself, "Now you know what it feels like." But one who couldn't hold his tongue was Kody. Slamming his hand down on the defense table, he sprang to his feet. "His isn't fair," he thundered, his voice cracking across the courtroom like lightning. "We built that house with my blood, my sweat, my sacrifice. How dare anyone, any judge make us sell it?" The judge held up a hand serenely. "Mr. Brown, you will sit down, or I will have you removed from this courtroom." But Kody didn't sit down. His face went red, his hair disheveled as he raged at the ex-wives. "They want to destroy me. They've been scheming this from the beginning. Christine, Janelle, Meri, this is your revenge, isn't it? You couldn't stand that I was moving on with Robyn, so now you want to bring us down." Robyn, sobbing, caught his arm, pleading urgently, "Kody, please, stop, you're making it worse." But Kody wouldn't stop. "No, Robyn," he snapped. "They've made this a circus. They've manipulated the truth, and this judge is buying every lie." The judge hit the gavel once, hard and clear. "Enough, Mr. Brown, this is not a theater for your tantrums. Be still, or I will find you in contempt." The air was thick. Cameras snapped in the back of the room, reporters documenting every moment of Kody's breakdown. Robyn hid her face in her hands, weeping now in great, uncontrollable sobs. Her sobs rang out across the courtroom, raw and agonized. But to most of those who watched, her tears evoked little sympathy. Too many years of preferential treatment, too many choices that made the other wives feel forsaken, had toughened the hearts of those around her. Janelle finally leaned in, her voice cold but steady. "Kody, you don't understand, do you? This isn't revenge. This is accountability. For years you sent money to Robyn, built her the life of her dreams, while the rest of us took the burden. And now, it's caught up with you." Christine spoke up, her tone stronger, piercing the silence. "We warned you, we pleaded with you to be fair, but you would not listen, and now, this is the consequence." Kody's jaw muscles bunched, his eyes blazing with anger as he faced Christine. "You think you've won? You think this makes you powerful? All you've done is rip this family apart. But Christine didn't budge. She leaned in, closer, her words cutting. No, Kody, you destroyed this family, and Robyn aided and abetted you. The crowd gasped. Robyn's wails became louder, and she shook her head back and forth vehemently. No, no, that's not true. I never wanted this. I just wanted love. I just wanted a family. But the words were hollow. The judge, impassive, cleared his throat. This court doesn't handle emotions, Mrs. Brown. It handles facts. And the fact is, your household enjoyed financial favoritism and mismanagement. That is why this ruling holds. For Robyn, it seemed as though the ground beneath her had turned to dust. The mansion, the outward sign of her security, of her place in the Brown family, was being taken from her. The debt of millions hung over her like an anvil. Kody, though, wasn't finished. His anger erupted as he shook a shaking finger at the ex-wives. You'll regret this. All of you, I gave you years of my life. I tried to lead, to provide, to keep this family together, and this is how you repay me? With betrayal? With lies? Meri got up slowly, her cheeks ashen, but her voice firm. You did not hold this family together, Kody. You dismantled it one decision at a time. We did not break you. You broke yourself. Her words hurt more than any court decision. Even Robyn ceased weeping for an instant, looking at Meri as if the force of those words bore down on her chest. The judge then called for order. We will take a short recess. Again the gavel came down, resonating as a warning. Robyn slumped into her chair when the judge got down from the bench, her fingers pressing against her chest, as if the agony was tangible. Her tears splattered on the table as she muttered to herself, how did it come to this? How did everything fall apart? Kody strode back and forth, seething like an animal in a cage, cursing beneath his breath. The reporters thronged the doors, already making headlines in their minds. Kody Brown blows in courtroom fury. Robyn cries as mansion sale is ordered. The ex-wives sat still, trading somber glances. Revenge wasn't on their minds. It was just justice finally arriving. And even though the judge had just started the last part of the trial, everyone in that courtroom knew the truth. The Brown Empire had fallen. And it had fallen from the inside out. The courtroom was filled, but you could have heard a pin drop. All eyes were on the bench, where the judge sat, his gavel lying quietly, but with the weight of power. Hours of the trial had been a maelstrom of accusations and defenses, and agonizing disclosures. The air in the room was charged, like the pause before thunder, when the sky takes a breath. Everyone had known what to expect. The verdict, but no one expected how crippling it would be. Meri sat up straight, chin high, hands cradled neatly in her lap. Janelle sat beside her, leaning forward slightly, as if she was prepared to catch each word that might fall from the judge's lips. Christine, although not technically a party to the suit, was there as well. She had remained a quiet presence all along, a symbol of unity and power for the wives who had struggled so long to extricate themselves from Kody and Robyn's shadow. On the other side, Kody's face was furious but pale. His jaw was clenched so tightly you could nearly see tension in his neck. His fists pounded the table nervously, his eyes flicking back and forth between the judge, the jury, and the women once married to him. Robyn was slumped, mascara staining her cheeks, and mumbling urgent phrases to her lawyer, but the words were more prayer than strategy. The judge finally cleared his throat. His deep, even voice filled the courtroom. After scrutinizing the evidence brought before the court, hearing the testimonies and perusing the financial documents presented, this court hereby finds the defendants, Mr. Kody Brown and Mrs. Robyn Brown, guilty of financial impropriety, fraud, and willful manipulation of marital properties. The damages incurred by Mrs. Janelle Brown and Mrs. Meri Brown are real and cannot be disregarded. The words hit Kody with the force of a hammer to his chest. His head fell, his curls quivering as he shook his head in shock. Robyn covered her mouth and hands, silencing a sharp gasp. The judge went on, his voice becoming more pointed, more determined. Mr. Kody Brown and Mrs. Robyn Brown are hereby ordered by this court to pay $3 million in restitution to the plaintiffs. In addition, this court directs an immediate sale of the Flagstaff mansion in satisfaction of the judgment. Gasps filled the courtroom. Cameras snapped. Reporters rushed to jot down notes. For one moment, the room was pandemonium. Robyn emitted a wail so shrill it reverberated off the wooden walls of the courtroom. "No. Oh please, Your Honor, don't take our home," she sobbed, her voice breaking. Her lawyer attempted to quiet her, putting a hand on her shoulder, but she shook him off, her face contorted in despair. Kody, on the other hand, blew up. He sprang out of his seat, slamming his fist on the table. "This is outrageous," he bellowed. His voice was laced with fury and desperation. "You can't do this. That house belongs to me. It's my family's future. I earned it. This is all lies. Lies fabricated by bitter ex-wives desperate to ruin me." The judge's gavel came down. "Mr. Brown, one more comment like that, and you will be in contempt of court. Sit down." For the first time in the entire trial, Kody complied immediately. He collapsed into his chair, his face flushed, his body shaking. It wasn't compliance. It was surrender. Across the room, Meri gave herself the slightest smile, not one of victory or cruelty, but of justice at last being served. Janelle breathed out a trembling sigh, as though she had held her breath for decades. Her eyes welled up with tears. But they weren't tears of grief. They were tears of release, of liberty, of triumph. Christine leaned forward, grasping Janelle's hand and then Meri's. "It's over," she breathed softly. "You did it. You confronted him. And you won." The judge closed the order, dictating firm time limits for the sale of the mansion and payback timetable. When his gavel came down a final time, it was like the sound of thunder, the way that a chapter closed for good. The fallout. The fallout was gruesome. Robyn sagged into Kody's chest, weeping hysterically, shaking all over. "They're taking everything away from us, Kody," she screamed. "What will we do? Where will we go?" For once Kody didn't know. His arrogance, his impassioned orations, his self-righteous rationalizations, they were lost to him. He seemed as empty as a husk, a man who had lost the one thing that made him strong. Meri, Janelle, and Christine emerged from the courtroom as a group. Cameras surrounded them, microphones thrust into their faces. These women had been held in silence, by loyalty, by fear, by a vision of family cohesion for years. Their voices were loud now. "Meri, what do you think about the verdict?" a reporter yelled. Meri stopped, turning to the cameras. Her voice was calm, her eyes sharp. "This is not about money. This is about truth, about responsibility. For years we were instructed to be quiet, to keep the family safe no matter what. But silence only keeps the abuser safe. Today we spoke. Today we were heard." Janelle emerged, her face softer but just as potent. "This never was about revenge. It was about survival. It was about ensuring no other woman, no other wife, has to endure what we did. Being manipulated, controlled and lied to. This verdict is a message. Enough is enough." Christine, always the heart of the group, added, "Families should be built on love, not control, on trust, not secrets." What happened today wasn't just justice for us. It was justice for every person watching who's ever felt powerless in their own home. I hope they see that they too can stand up and take their power back. Their words spread like wildfire. Within hours, headlines flooded every major outlet. Judge forces Kody and Robyn to pay $3 million. Sister wives mansion ordered to be sold. Meri and Janelle win explosive court battle. Social media went wild. Praise rushed in for the women, hailing their bravery. Fans labeled it the ultimate defeat of Kody's ego, the shattering of his well-rehearsed guise. As the patriarch in charge, Kody and Robyn's silence. In the meantime, Kody and Robyn edged their way out of the courtroom, through a side door, out of camera range. Their faces were white, their bodies weighed down with loss. For once, Kody didn't shout at the reporters, didn't make his customary scene about being misinterpreted. He just walked, his arms slung around Robyn, his head looking down. At the car, Robyn breathed, "Kody, what are we going to do?" He didn't respond. He couldn't. For the first time in decades, the self-proclaimed invincible man had no struggle remaining in him. The epilogue. A new chapter. The mansion, a symbol of Robyn and Kody's authority, hit the market within weeks. The fans drove past, taking photos, dubbing it the House of Secrets, that ultimately collapsed. Meri invested her settlement in a business of her own, independent of Kody's name. Janelle put money in the future, securing stability for herself and her children. Christine prospered still, her spirit brighter than ever. And so the three women redefined family, not one ruled by a single man, but one founded on strength, sisterhood and solidarity. For Kody and Robyn, the decision was more than a monetary setback. It was the ultimate stripping of the authority they had held onto for so many years. The world witnessed their empire fall apart, and this time no editing, no TLC storyline shielded them. Justice had been heard, and it was final.